Look at this. I have a fun little tiny mic and a setup for my camera. Does the microphone work? Do I have to lower it? Oh no. Let me actually look real quick. Hi. I suppose I can begin with an introduction. Hi there. My name is Jeffrey. That's the introduction. Usually my videos are going through my day and me talking to nobody about it. Nobody aside from the maybe 10 people who tune in. Thank you to you guys, by the way. I appreciate it. Today's not going to be that. Today I'm not capturing my journey. Today I'm just going to yap. I am just going to talk. I wanted to start a vault collection, if you will. I like talking about my old ideas and my journey, and so that's what this is. I'm more aimed towards like the horror side of things usually. I like the scary, I like the spooky, I love the ripped guys in masks chasing you down with a with a dangerous weapon. I don't know if I'm gonna leave that in or not, but that was fucking funny, I think. Okay, pull yourself together, Jeffrey. This is serious. I was like 15 and I was very scared to let people even like see it. There were these sites on fandom. You could find little communities on there. And my goal at 15 was to find one that nobody was using and then just like post my own little silly goofy stuff. Um so my writing, the way I used to write stuff was I used to write fake a little like fake TV show, if you will. Yeah, so it was kind of just my way of making a little fantasy land for myself. And so that's what's bringing me to the story I am going to talk about today. The issue is I really don't know how to really discuss it because let me tell you, I worked on this project. Oh my god, you guys, I worked on that for 5 years. Oh, I'm horrified. I'm disgusted. I spent too much time on that. But I'm very happy I did because there's lore. There's lore. Trust me. There's lore. So as I said, it was like a fake TV show in my mind that I just immortalized on the internet and it was basically that episode of Degrassi where like they had the zombies. Do you guys remember that? That is a wild deep cut actually. I forgot they did that. Oh my gosh, Degrassi of the Dead. Degrassi was crazy. I need to rewatch that. Anyway, so my story was my show. We're gonna pretend this is a TV show. We're gonna talk about this like it's like a legitimate TV show. My TV show that I directed at 17. I was a showrunner, a producer, a writer. I did the casting. Oh, mama, I was working it. My TV show, my fake TV show. It was camp, it was comedy, it was horror, it was drama. It was great. Oh my god. 10 out of 10 stars on IMDb. Everybody loved it. The way that I look at it nowadays, that project, I look at it in a way that's like this was basically a collection of short stories that connected into a bigger arc. I learned how to tell stories from writing this project for sure. That was like a little test run. The first season was like a little test run of like, okay, we're going to try setting this up. We're going to try executing this. Hi. My roommate's cat just walked out. She's going to bother the shit out of me now. I was learning about like story structure and stuff like that from it, and I think that's pretty cool. Like I remember, okay, so I remember like that first episode. I haven't even talked about the plot. Oh, this is guys, this is crazy. This is a crazy plot. Okay, so I remember. Hi. Oh god, she's here. Do you have something you want to say? Well said, Mimi. So I remember. Okay, so the first episode. So we start. There's this it's a high school setting because I was in high school. It was my senior year. And yeah, I remember I wrote a senior class going on an end of the year school trip. Um that was like how it started. We're comfortable, everything's normal. It's like, oh yay, we're having fun. It's a good old time. So we're getting to know everybody. We're on a little trip. And then the episode ends with their bus crashing. and like six students died. It was crazy. Like end of episode 4, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, now there's zombies. Yeah, that first season was like, that was just crazy. I only wrote 5 episodes for that first season, and I feel like that was like, I don't know. I don't know if it wasn't enough or if it was too much, but I was like, we spent too much time in those fucking woods. Like, ugh. And then nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. That's not true, actually. They got attacked by wolves in the second episode, which I thought was pretty funny. Nobody really liked that first season because they were like, I mean, this is a zombie website. You need to write about zombies. And I was like, okay, well, I make my own rules. So how about that? And then season 2 happened. Season 2 was where like they started, getting the hang of the zombie apocalypse vibe. It was more of a thing, but then also people were becoming like a threat as well. There was all of that. Damn, like yeah, see, I can't think of like anything notable from those first 2 seasons. Um, because yeah, that was when it was like I was just being a little bit. It was just silly, goofy fun. But season three is where I was like, oh, I can tell a story with this. I can do something with all of this. That's where I started, learning how to write. I put everyone's dialogue in different paragraphs. It was great. Um, and then I finally like made some stakes. Um, I remember I killed off one of the OG main characters in like episode 6 or something. See, like oh man, I don't even know like what all I should tell you guys or what I can say because it's just like it was just like it was crazy. It was chaotic. Um yeah, no, I remember I started just like yeah, experimenting. A lot of experimenting going on with all that. Season 3, however, is also where I started running into some issues that I was having. So something I learned with this story as well was not to write for the audience, write for yourself, and I had to learn that the hard way. First, we had like an influx of people on in the community, and then yeah, it turned out that they were a bunch of trolls. So that's the spoiler ending. These were like my first times getting critiques. What made it tough was I was getting critique specifically on characters that I quite enjoyed writing. I remember I started like adjusting things from my original plans. I ended up butchering the characters that I really really liked. I was trying so hard to like make them liked because I thought they were like so disliked by everybody, and then that ended up making it even worse. So I kind of learned the hard way there. You can't please everybody. Like some people are just not going to get your style. Because I will say I did reread it. Like the last time I reread it was years ago. It was a few years ago. And when I did do my reread, I was like, these people were just being mean. I really wanted them to be liked because they were like the ones that I really liked, and I thought they were like the most fun to write. But then yeah, like I said, eventually we figured out that like those people were trolls. But for some reason, it didn't really click in my mind that like I can just go back and I could just go back and delete everything. I could just like retcon stuff for specific characters. It didn't end well for some of those characters that I mentioned. I learned not to write for other people, but to write for myself. And sometimes I still have to remind myself of that, just to like write for myself. But hey, it's a journey. It's a process. I learned that the best characters are the ones that have flaws because I was always very focused on making like perfect characters. And then all of my favorite characters from the very big group of characters, by the way, because there was like, you guys, there was like 300 characters throughout this entire thing. It's it's bad. Oh man, I used to love making those character pages though because like I'd organize them by groups and then groups and families. They'd be color coded based on if they're alive, dead, that sort of thing. That was fun. That was always great. It was very pleasing to look at. It's very aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, so some one thing I learned from that as well was you don't need 300 characters. But you can merge a few. It's okay. You can merge a few. Like okay, so like that first season, the one that has 5 episodes, had 11 main characters. Would you like to know how many I had in the second? So we killed off two, but then added three more. I don't know, that was like 13, I think. And then the season after that, we had 16. I think we had 16 for four as well. And then I think I finally like got some. I got control of myself, and I think I had 12 again for five. So I learned that you don't need too many main characters. You can just have a few. I kind of want to talk about the plot of the story, but like the unfortunate reality is that there wasn't really one. It was literally just like short survival stories taking place within a bigger timeline. Ooh, something I learned from it because I finally decided to just like cut it off after a certain amount of time. I kind of just learned that like if something's not working, you're allowed to just like let it go. And then another thing I learned from that, from letting that story go, I also learned it's okay to shift things around. Some of those characters I'm using now in like my current work in progress, and that's been great. Like you can I think it's nice to be able to take characters that you've liked before and just like rework them a little bit. You don't have to let everything go from a past story. Sometimes the setting's just not working. Sometimes it's like the plot's not working but the characters are, or the characters aren't working but the plot is. Genre is just a backdrop to your story, you know. I found so much better things for the characters in this story that I wouldn't have found if I had kept on going. Like I never would have just let it go and found good stories to tell with these characters because I like these characters a lot. I'm very well acquainted with them by now. Oh, I learned that not everything has to be violent. I can just do more subtle stuff. You're not going over there. You're just gonna knock stuff off the table. I will say for a while it was a bit of a depressor for me because of the drama that was going on in the community at the time and how I let it affect my story. So that's something very very important. Like you can't let outside sources affect your story too much. Like I think it's a guessing game sort of, you have to figure out like are they right? Do they have something to them, or is it just like blatantly BS? You know what I mean? If you know in your heart, like, no, this is a story I want to tell, there's still a way to fix it. You can always fix it. That's the wonderful thing about being a writer, I think, is that like nothing's ever forever. I mean, unless you get it like officially published, I guess then it's like officially forever. But until then, you're allowed to play with it as much as you want. Because I feel like I could say so much more. If I really could. I could talk about this all day. I was debating on just like running through episode by episode, and that would have been horrible. Or like doing a deep dive of each character, that would have been even worse. 300 characters, like I said. I don't know. There's like so much I do want to talk about, but it feels like not necessarily useless information, but like it's like, do I really want to share all that? I don't know. A couple years back, I kept on like kind of going back to it just because I was like there's a few certain characters that I want to revisit, because I realized this is something I learned. Sometimes your main character is not really your main character. I remember my main character, my protagonist for the entire 5 season run. There was an entire season where he appeared in. Oh man, I think he missed like 6 episodes, and then the next season he missed another like five, and he was just like the least interesting. He's who I thought like would be like, oh, this is a protagonist because he's a badass and he's cool and he's so stoic. Ooh, but no, I ended up really quickly learning no, people like the interesting people, the ones with the flaws. Hey, thanks for letting me yap about my thoughts and feelings for a minute. If I posted this and you stuck around to watch it, that's pretty cool. Thanks. But I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Maybe I'll do this again with another project because I've done quite a few. But I don't know, we will see. I don't really know how to properly end this video. So I'm just gonna say I'll see you later, and I'll see you later.